We opened up our emails files to allow others to send in their questions, and a lot of Politico readers couldn't wait to get a chance to come in and ask you a question, so we do have quite a few from them, and we did select them in advance of this evening, but we have to admit, in the interest of full disclosure, we did a Google check on this one after we had selected the question and found out that she is an Obama supporter. However, the question is still a good question, so we're going to ask it anyway. This comes from Politico reader Deborah Willered of Bettendorf, Iowa, and she says that transparency is something I want to see in the next administration. Vice President Cheney and President Bush were famous for making deals behind closed doors that affected all of us. How can we believe that you are not going to do the same if you do not do something as simple as release your tax returns? That is a question, I must say, that came up over and over again as we took in some 300 pages of questions.
Well, the Obama campaign is telling people to send in that question. I've said that I'm going to release my tax returns when I'm the nominee. My entire ethics statement is on record at the Senate. I have liquidated all of my holdings. I'm holding everything in cash so that there's not even a question of conflict. But transparency is an important issue. And it doesn't only go to your personal finances, but, you know, Senator Obama has some questions to answer about his dealings with one of his largest contributors, Exelon, a big nuclear power company. Apparently, he cut some deals behind closed doors to protect them from full disclosure in the nuclear industry. So I just think that we need to get more information out so people are not driven by campaigns with partisan advantage, but actually look at both of our records and really, you know, look at the comparisons and contrasts.
But, Senator, you and President Clinton have spent most of your career up till 2000 in public service. Since then, he, on behalf of both of you, has made a lot of money, and that money is now playing a role in the campaign since he made a loan to your campaign.
That's right.
Why not give that information to voters? Well, it still makes a difference in the Democratic contest.
But John,
if transparency is important, just do it now.
John, we have. I mean, all of our sources of income are public information. The $5 million that I gave as a loan to my campaign comes out of my money. There isn't any surprises here. And in fact, you know, our financial situation has probably been more investigated than anybody who's ever been in public life in America. We still don't have a lot of answers about Senator Obama and his dealings with Mr. Rezko. So I don't mind answering questions, but I find it only fair that we have questions going to the other side as well. And I don't see that happening. You know, we have been on the front line of full disclosure. I've been examined one side up and the other side down. I'm more than happy to have that.
Right.
But I think it's fair that we have the same standards applied to my opponent.
And do you think the press is playing patty cake with Senator Obama? I noticed that came up the other night in 60 Minutes.
Well, that's your phrase, not mine.
All right.
Well, let's turn to something that's a lot more serious than patty cake, Iraq. As a matter of fact, many had thought this was going to be the key issue. It seems to have taken a spot on the back burner right now. But it's a big issue for this market in particular because, as you know, there is a huge military presence in our local audience here. So for us, it's not just a national and international issue. It's a very big local issue as well. Now, today, Defense Secretary Robert Gates made it clear that there's going to be a pause in the plan to draw down troops from Iraq because he said he thinks it would imperil recent security gains that have been made there. Now, if you were Commander-in-Chief now, would you support such a pause?
No, I wouldn't, Leon. And I think this is such a disheartening piece of news because if we go back and look at what the whole purpose behind the so-called surge was, it was to put more American troops in to try to provide a greater sense of security so the Iraqi government could make the decisions that only the Iraqis can make for themselves. Now Secretary Gates is saying, well, we'll probably have the same number of troops in the summer of '08 that we had in the beginning of '07. The Iraqi government is not making those decisions. The security that our young men and women have provided at great cost, great loss of life, great injury, has not pushed the Iraqis to do what only they can do. I don't think the Iraqis will take responsibility until we actually start withdrawing troops. That's why I have said that as soon as I am president, I will ask for a plan from the Joint Chiefs and my military advisors and the Secretary of Defense so we can begin within 60 days withdrawing our troops. Because I know that our young men and women have done everything they were asked to do, but there is no military solution, and it's time that the Iraqis understood that.
Is your plan to withdraw all troops? I believe you've been saying up to this point combat troops, and there are some who are saying, well, that may only be a small fraction of the number of troops that are actually on the ground over there. Can you define for us right now the kind of troops you're talking about and the numbers?
Well, I intend to try to take nearly all of them out within a year. But obviously, It's going to take a lot of planning. I don't think the administration has done the planning. You know, the news from Secretary Gates kind of reinforces that for me, that they really haven't been focused on how we safely withdraw our troops. And it's complicated, Leon. You know, we've got to take care of our civilians. We have more than 100,000 Americans there in all kinds of capacities. I think it would be appropriate that we take care of the Iraqis who translated and drove for and protected our troops. So this is not going to be easy to do, but I think you can take out 1 to 2 brigades a month. And I really regret that President Bush will not finish this war before he leaves. It really is his war. He started it. He waged a preemptive war. I wish that he would take responsibility for drawing it down and ending it.
Senator Clinton, Senator Obama on the campaign trail in recent days has been taunting you on the question of electability. He said, quote, Senator Clinton starts off with 47% of the country against her. That's a hard place to start, end quote. And several conservative commentators also have said you may be the only Democrat who can unify a badly demoralized Republican Party. Why should Democrats give Republicans the candidate they're looking for?
Well, John, I'm not so sure that anybody on the Democratic side should take seriously what any Republican commentators say. I think that, you know, I've been around long enough to know that there's often a certain level of disinformation that's going on. You know, I know that there are 3 things when you think about electability. Number 1, I've been winning the big states we have to win. You know, with all due respect, unless there's a tsunami change in America, we're never going to carry Alaska, North Dakota, Idaho. It's just not going to happen. But we have to carry the states that I'm carrying, the primary states, the states that really have to be in the winning Democratic column. And if you look at my vote there, it is the voters we have to have, people making less than $50,000, women, Latinos. I'm very confident that we'll unite behind our Democratic nominee. But I think that anyone who goes through the Republican attack machine, which I have for a number of years, will have their negatives driven up. That's just the way politics works. You've covered it for a long time. And I think it's rather short-sighted of Senator Obama and his supporters to assume or think that won't happen to him. One thing you know about me is that I have been vetted. I've been through this. I understand exactly what is coming at me. And there isn't any new information. I mean, it's just more of the same. It's been recycled over and over again. I don't think we can say that about my opponent. I think my track record in being able to take on Republicans is, you know, really a proven one. Somebody told me today that Senator Obama's never had a negative ad run against him. Well, get ready, because if he's the nominee, we will see a lot of that. And finally, you know, the most important question for people to answer is who they think would be the best president. And I'm really confident, if that is the question, what the answer is. So both on who would be the best president, commander-in-chief, turning the economy around, dealing with the hard issues like trying to get to universal health care. I'm the only candidate left who has a plan to do that. And who would be the best nominee to actually win in the fall. You know, I really believe that I have advantages that the Democrats will be able to use.